everyone, I just want to talk today about some of the things I've been reading, some of the things I've been crafting. So since the last time I did one of these videos, I have finished a couple things. I don't want to do full reviews here since it's almost the end of the month. So I'll just do like a one line of what I thought. I finished The Lighthouse Switches, and this was a solid read, enjoyable. There were some things that I'll discuss in my review that weren't like my favorite, but overall, this was an entertaining October kind of, not like fully spooky, but definitely had the October vibes. And then I also finished Haunt Sweet Home, which was a short book. I listened to it. It's probably only like 4 hours on audiobook. And this one was entertaining and fun to read, but forgettable. Like, it's been like a couple weeks and I already am starting to lose a lot of it. So yeah, one of those that could be quick, something to listen to, fun, but ultimately not going to stick with me. And then what I'm reading right now, I am actually not doing a ton of reading. Last week has been pretty busy with other things, crafting mostly. So haven't done a lot of reading, but I am in the middle of an audiobook and then reading a book that I'm kind of like physically and ebook reading. So my audiobook is Before the Devil Breaks You by Libba Bray. This is the third book in the Diviners. If you watched my last currently reading, I was just starting this. Now I'm getting towards the end. I'm like 440 pages in. And this is, I just am really enjoying this series. I think it's a lot of fun. It has like its flaws and the fact that it's huge and has tons of characters, but I'm getting pretty invested in everything that's happening. There's a lot of like intense scenes in this one because we're like building up to some of these things, like, you know, coming to a climax and all that, since we're approaching the fourth book. And so I'm just like really enjoying myself. Yeah, the 1920s lingo sometimes gets a bit old, but now I'm at the point where it's kind of like, well, now it's just part of the fun because I know it's kind of cheesy, but it's entertaining. And the audiobook is just amazing. January Lavoie is the audio narrator, and she's just a top-notch narrator. She does such a good job. Like, I am like at that point now where I just like know exactly who she is being, even if they don't like mention their name. It's just like she's got the voice down for all the characters. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this one that kind of is creepy. This is a strange one in the series because I feel like the first two really like everything built up to a big climax, and this one has all these mini climaxes. All these things are happening and coming to a point, and so like we hit like kind of a climax and then move on to another part of the storyline and kind of build up to that climax. And you know, it kind of has these like sweeps in this one, so that's good because it's such a big book. Like, it is keeping me invested because I can feel like a little bit of like, well, that storyline had a big moment. Not necessarily like the end, but like a big moment in that storyline, and then we can move on to something else and have a big moment. A lot of, like I said, intense scenes, a lot of things happening. I am interested to see how she's gonna wrap all this up because there's just like so many storylines happening now. But I could see the last book, just like how everything is just probably gonna be super intense in the last book because there are so many storylines open. And then the thing that I am like reading, but mostly ebook, but some physical, is Terrier by Tamara Pierce. This is the first in what is this? Oh, the Becca Cooper series. This one has a bit of a different style than a lot of her other Tortoral books because it's written as a journal from Becca Cooper. And so the chapters are like super long, which all of Tamara Pierce's books have longer chapters, which is like one of my main things that is a gripe, that it just like takes so long to get to a break. But this one especially, like the chapters are very long because it's very much a day in the life. I was just trying to see if I could see like one chapter, like this is like one chapter, which is like 60 pages. So it feels like a lot, like especially when you're on ebook and it's like you have 150 pages till the next chapter. Like, it feels like a lot, but I'm enjoying this so far. It's definitely has a much different feel. Like, I've read the Alana books and most of the Immortals series, and this one feels, one, it's like a day in the life, and two, it's kind of like a murder mystery, like, but a very slow moving murder mystery, and somebody like learning on the job. So that's like a mix of everything. So we're following Becca Cooper, who is a young woman who is getting into kind of like, basically it's like the police force in this world, where they're called the dogs. And so they're like the guards women and guards people, but she would be a guards woman. But right now she's just like in training. And so they call her a puppy because it's the dogs are the like guards. And so she's just like following around two of the like, you know, adult guards that have been in the dogs for a long time, and she's just learning how to do her job. And like she's in like the slums, and you know, they're meeting with gangsters and all this stuff, and kind of all those different parts of the city. And there is a murder, which, just for content warning, the murder was of a child, and that is not on page, but that's what they're investigating. And so I'm assuming that Becca is going to be helping to solve this murder throughout this. You know, this is very slow moving. Like, I am at page 130 and it's only the second day of her job, of her training. So we are moving very slow. So it's kind of like, if you want a fast-paced murder mystery, that's not what this is. But I'm kind of liking just learning about this world, learning about this job, following her as she is figuring things out. I kind of like that when somebody's in training, so you aren't just getting info dump, you are learning with them what the world is going on. And yeah, so I'm enjoying this so far, but I feel like it's going to be a slower moving book. It's also pretty thick. Like, how long is this? This is like 500 pages. So it's just a bit of a slow moving thing. And I think this is a trilogy. So probably will be taking a while to read that. So those are all the things that I'm reading. Now for crafting. Last time I showed you I was knitting a hat. I'm still a beginner knitter. This is only the second thing that I have ever like finished knitting. And I took a class, and last time I showed you I had just done the rim of the hat, and now I have finished my hat. So there it is. Finished my second knitting project. So this one, it's got like the garter stitch in the front section, and then the rest of the hat is just stocking knit, so just knit stitch. And so I learned a few different things, like a lot more lingo and a lot more like words in the knitting world, learning how to decrease at the top. I'm pretty happy like with it, and like feel like even though my gauge is tighter than what the pattern called for, I feel pretty good about it. And I really like this like yarn color with all, like, it looks so dark on the spool, but I think like once it's all together, it has more of the different colors coming out. So I think it'll go with like everything because it's got all the different colors. So that is my second knitting project finished. And then this weekend I went on a quilting retreat, and so I did a ton of quilting, but I didn't finish any quilts. So when I finish them, I will show you them, but I'm going to show you some of the blocks I did. Basically, I'm making a quilt for each of my kids. For my 6-year-old, I am making this one that has a bunch of little animals. So you can see I kind of like made sure an animal was highlighted. And there's a lot of different, there's acorn fabric and squirrels and just a bunch of other little fabrics. And so these are the blocks, and there were 30 of these blocks. So it took quite a long time to make all of these blocks. So the next thing is I finish all the blocks, and now I'll sew them into rows and make the quilt top, put on the borders. So I'll show you, I probably will show you different stages, because I'll probably like put all the rows together, show you that before I put the borders on. So I can show you what it feels like. Since they're such muted colors, when you see them all together, because I kind of put them on a design board to decide, you know, what order the blocks would go in, it feels like very muted when it's all together. And then for my older daughter, she had picked this fabric that had all these super cute animals. And so like part of this was, the pattern is just like all of these like big squares and these blocks, and they're kind of like alternated. So it's going to be very busy and very colorful. But the main thing that took me forever this weekend was I did what they call fussy cutting in quilting, where you like are not just cutting, you know, straight lines down the piece of fabric, you were cutting out like the design. And so that took forever because I have 100 of these, and I had to cut out 100 with the like animal focus. So there's different animals. So that one was squirrels, and then I've got like an owl, and they're just so cute. But it takes forever to like center the like picture and make sure that you can see. Of course, I picked the row that just has the squirrels and the owls. So there's a lot more animals. When I get more rows put together, I will show you. And then these blocks, it's so cute because they're like little peepholes. So I try to focus on fun little pieces of the fabric so you could see the peepholes and see designs. There's some of them when like I said, I only pulled one row. So I can't like show you some of the, you know, of course this is not the one that has some of the really fun little peeps. I got some that have like eyes, so it'll be like little frog eyes in there or whatever. So there's some really fun peepholes on these blocks. So there's like 100 of these blocks and 100 of the just squares that I cut out the animal on. So it was a lot of cutting, and these little blocks like took a lot of time too, even though they're so tiny. It took a lot of time to cut out this little piece, like focused on something and then sew it all together. So that was like my whole weekend, was sewing all the blocks for their quilts, and then next we'll be sewing the rows together, finishing the tops. So I will show you when I have a few more things done on those projects so you can see how it all comes together, because it looks like really beautiful when it's all together. It's like hers is definitely going to be a busy quilt, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun and she's going to love it because it's all her favorite colors, like, you know, blues, pinks, and turquoise and lime green and all that. So I will show you when that is done more. And that's it for me. If you want to talk about anything you're reading lately, anything you're crafting, I'd love to hear from you down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye.